¿Qué pasa, mi gente? Welcome to another video. Today, I want to make apparent to you that most creators don't have a business plan for their content. They have a business plan for themselves and what they want to do with their business, but they just basically post when they feel inspired or they complain about the algorithm and they expect results to happen from nothing. So today, I'm going to essentially show you how to build a real content strategy you can use into 2026 so that way you can learn from the information that I've learned from some of the best content agencies on the planet who are in charge of the biggest content creators on the planet, which essentially break down how to get views, turn them into leads, stay authentic, and actually make money. But first, why are we doing this, right? Because I need to share a huge truth with you guys, like more so than anything else overall. Attention is the business, if that makes sense. When it comes to content and making it for your business overall, attention is the business, because there's a difference between what people say they want to watch and what they actually pay attention to. Shout out to Adley Kinsman, who I learned this from. You do not want to make silly videos. I'm going to make that very clear. But you do have to understand how attention works and how does that work with your customers overall, right? And most creators don't necessarily understand that more views will essentially fix the problems that they have on a day-to-day basis in your business, because it all flows from attention. Views are essentially your first domino to knock down more appointments, more calls set, more sales to happen into the future when you're using content as the fulcrum for your business in order to generate more business, right? And the next thing that I also want to make very apparent to you is that you don't necessarily have a views problem, okay? A lot of business owners that I know and come into contact with on a consistent basis, they literally make content diligently for their business because they see the importance, right? What you have actually is a retention problem. So the goal from today forward is to essentially aim for 70 to 90% of retention in the first 6 seconds or the first minute, depending if you're doing short form or long form, in every single video. And we're going to treat content like a funnel and a business rather than just random posts. So let's get into your customized content plan. But before we get into that, if you could do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to the channel, because I literally make videos on content planning, content strategy, personal branding, cinematography, filmography, in order to make content so that way you can make more money online. And I would really love for you to come into the community and just watch more of my videos, because I feel like I really want to help more business owners make more money online. Otherwise, let's get back into the custom plan, right? So step number one is literally build a funnel for your content, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to essentially drop this into a funnel, a 50, 40, 10, right? And this is not necessarily like a savings plan or anything like that for all the money gurus and whatnot on YouTube overall. It's essentially developing the funnel for the percentage of what we're trying to do per the content that we make on a consistent basis. So in our funnel, 50%, which is essentially top funnel, is going to be top funnel content, which is essentially for awareness and attention. 40% is going to be middle funnel, which is essentially developing trust and adding depth. And 10%, literally because we have 90% and literally 10 left, 10% is bottom funnel, which is essentially offers and sales. Essentially videos that we make in order to make a conversion happen. Because the whole point behind all of this between 50, 40, 10 is essentially entertain the masses, educate the interested, and sell to the committed, more so than anything else. So let's start with the top funnel, which is essentially 50% entertaining the masses. So our job is essentially to stop the scroll and plug into culture. So we essentially use what is culturally relevant, so that way we can contextually relevancy or use contextually relevant content or make that type of content by default and relate to what we do, right? And usually this would be in the format of polarizing opinions, strong beliefs, trendy hooks with your angle, etc., etc., etc. Examples of this would be like a video that I made on this channel, which is essentially you don't have a content problem, you have an identity problem. Another really great example is you have to stop thinking like a YouTuber and start thinking like Netflix. Another example is here's what Akash Singh's wife can teach you about personal branding. And the last one is what Markiplier proves personal branding is the key. which is essentially his commentary on his iron lung situation. So literally all you have to do is just figure out what's happening in your world, or just in general, like via Google Trends, vidIQ, or whatever software that you use on a consistent basis. Figure out what are the trending topics that people are talking about it and relate it to your industry. Like I did with Akash Singh's wife, with the whole Akash Singh's controversy, and on top of that, like just overall like the acquisition between Netflix and Warner Brothers, right? You want to make videos on stuff that's relevant to you. And since my channel is about content creation, how to use content to make money online, it only makes sense for me to talk about this stuff and comment on them overall. So that's top of funnel. Middle of funnel is essentially 40% of educating the interested, right? So let's say people that come to your channel and they're like, I'm already subscribed to you, this, that, and the third. I'm watching your videos consistently. Our job is to essentially prove our expertise. So literally what we're trying to do is give them more technical knowledge behind the stuff that we're already trying to teach so they can implement in their business right now, right? So essentially people who already like the video, have watched a number of our videos and want more, right? The formats in which that we can literally apply this is how-to videos, breakdowns, case studies, and much more regarding like tactical advice, right? Some examples of stuff that I've literally done like this in this channel is how to use YouTube Wrap to find your niche, my 50-40-10 content plan for 90 days, and how to make daily content with a full-time job, which is a lot of people, right? Next is essentially bottom funnel, which is essentially the last 10% that's left in your funnel in order to create, right? So our job, more so than anything else, is to sell to the committed. But how are we going to do that? By making our clear offers, more so than anything else. First of all, with organic content, at least most content agencies will literally go, it says like, we have to earn the sell, right? The point of our organic content in any business, whether it be a content agency or any of the people that literally have a business and they're trying to make content for the business overall, is that we have to earn the sell. So then how are we going to earn the sell? Well, in the following formats you can. So essentially client stories or testimonials, intros to our product or service, behind the scenes of your service or your product or whatever it is, direct call to actions, especially at the end of videos or the beginning of videos too, vlogging, VSLs, like essentially video sales letters if you don't know what that is, and then so on and so forth. And if you understand this as your content funnel, then you're never going to have an issue making content for the specific intention, right? Step 2 is essentially design every single video in reverse, especially going into 2026. So how do you do this, right? You want to start with the end in mind. So what's the one feeling or the one takeaway you want to leave every single viewer with at the end of every single video? And then you work backwards, right? So essentially, you're always trying to handshake the next couple seconds, next 30 seconds, the next minute, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that way everything can be, I guess, made coherently, and there's not just like cut dead air or any situations in which that it wouldn't necessarily prove your point or provide more value, right? So one way that you can literally determine this is by doing a script test, right? It's like, do I care? And literally just go line by line and ask yourselves, like, would a stranger care if they watch this video overall? And if there's any instance in which that you go to a line and you don't necessarily have that feeling, essentially that they would care, or ask yourself, would this stranger care if they watch my video? Then you cut it out, and that's it. And then the last thing in this aspect is, after you design every single video in reverse, is you want to show, not tell, right? Instead of just saying like, I got a bunch of leads doing this, that, and the third, maybe have like a graphic, maybe have something in the back of the video or whatever it be, in short form or long form, whether it be DMs, Calendly screenshots, Stripes screenshots, before and after metrics for specific clients, testimonials, a full video of a testimonial out as part of your content in order to show proof, rather than tell the proof overall, right? Like I literally tell people all the time, especially when we get on the sales calls, like, here are our metrics and everything that's happening. Like, I don't know how to explain this any other way, especially when they have literally all the results available to them. That way it provides belief. And once you do that, it all comes from developing trust with the person who's watching your video. Otherwise, you're just going to be making videos from start to finish and thinking that, all right, by the end of they get to this video, they're going to have a really great time telling me what they need, and et cetera, and I'm going to solve the problem, this, that, and the third, but they didn't even get to the end of the video. So you want to make sure that retention is the main point of fulcrum behind everything else, and you do that by scripting out the video literally from reverse to the front. Now, step 3 is volume, testing, and developing your opinions. Essentially what I learned from Ryan McGinn is that with volume, you want to decide your reps. It's like, am I going to do 1 short a day, 2 shorts a day? Am I going to do 2 long forms every single day? Am I going to do 3 long forms every single day? 1 long form every day? Can't necessarily optimize anything that you don't already do, if that makes sense. Essentially, you can't optimize what you barely post, if that makes sense. So I want you to choose the format of videos that best helps you do this, because a lot of people, they'll be like, I don't know if I can like consistently do different types of videos on every single format. Well, then maybe choose one, right? Whether it be Yap videos, whether it be green screen videos, whether it be vlogs, whether it be rage bait, it doesn't matter. My main thing is like the simplicity behind it. In order for you to actually commit to something makes more sense rather than just like literally saying, oh, I'm going to do Yap videos for 2 days and then green screens for 3 days and vlogs for these days, this, that, and the third. Instead, you could be like, I'm going to vlog every single day, or I'm going to make a Yap video every single day, or I'm going to make a green screen video every single day that's relevant to my topic, or I'm going to rage bait people every single day. It doesn't matter. The type of format doesn't matter as long as you're consistent with that one specific journey. So then you can actually start developing results for yourself and then eventually start investing in other specific formats of videos that you haven't made thus far. And as far as the volume is concerned, you want to make sure that you focus on strong hooks and opinions, essentially calling lies and essentially people that essentially abide by things that are not necessarily relevant behind the opinions that you have, that you draw your lines in the sand, right? Whether it be attacking common beliefs or essentially excuses that people give towards a specific goal that you have for them overall that they would need to overcome, or stuff that you just genuinely believe overall. And lastly, before anything else when it comes to volume, is that you want to assess the data over your personal feelings with your content, which that means studying retention graphs. That means doubling down on topics and hooks that were actually very good for your channel, and essentially killing formats that consistently drop viewers at all. Because you don't necessarily have a views problem, like I mentioned before, but if your people happen to come onto your video for only 3 seconds, then they never really got a chance to like you. So then that's more so a retention issue more so than anything else. Now, step 4, authenticity, which is essentially in addition to a Venn diagram, which I literally have in a presentation, which I don't have now, but I will literally describe this to you and explain it. So essentially your platypus, your expertise, and your market value. So first and foremost, authenticity in this sort of framework that we're trying to describe here will always have an audience. And the reason why I say that is because literally people will watch anything. Like literally they'll go on any specific channel. Like people will even watch the most outlandish stuff that they see online just because it's funny, it's entertaining, or it's informational, right? So then therefore, I want to let you know that if you're authentic online, it's always going to make sure that you're going to have views, right? But you're not necessarily going to do that with copy and paste content, right? Just because somebody else has some sort of content that's working for them, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. However, the interpretation behind the things that they do and then you implement that into your content strategy might, right? So authenticity is not necessarily oversharing. It's basically not pretending to be somebody else and sharing who you actually are online, so that way people can actually buy into who you are and what it is that you do, because people buy people. So I'm going to now introduce that after saying that authenticity is important, this Venn diagram, right? So you essentially have, just imagine like if you see a Venn diagram in front of my face, literally a platypus, your expertise, and your market value, right? So I'm literally going to define each. So your platypus is essentially the absolute nonsense and craziness that's authentic to you. The stuff that feels effortless and stuff that is weird and fun that you can literally talk about when you're inebriated at 1 in the morning. And the things that your friends say about you on a consistent basis. So the whole point behind this is like, this is your platypus. All these 3 concepts that I literally just said right now is your platypus. So my intention or homework for you is to find your damn platypus. If you like going out and running, then you're a person that runs and talks about running on a consistent basis. If you're somebody that believes in your own specific religion, then you talk about your religion, dude. Talk about your religious beliefs, whatever that be, right? Or if your political agenda, then fine, but share that respectfully, of course. Or your beliefs about arts and crafts, or your favorite things about music. Like, these are the things that are your dang platypus. So you might as well take ownership And you think about a platypus as like everything about them is weird and fun and kooky looking, but at the end of the day, it's its own thing, you know? It's just basically its own animal in the animal kingdom. And even though there's a couple weird stuff about it overall, it's still authentic to itself. So therefore, find your dang platypus. Now the next thing is your expertise, right? So your expertise is essentially the skills and the experience you can actually help people with overall. For me specifically, it would be my content experience, my marketing experience, my personal brand experience, and sharing that with other businesses that I've worked with in the past. And for you, it might be something different, like the amount of things that you did in order to lose weight, the amount of cars you fixed in order to develop your car shop. It might be the ways that you've made money online or in person. It's been the ways that you've literally solved multiple cases as a lawyer. It doesn't matter. That's essentially your expertise, your skills and your experience that you've developed over years of dedication, right? Now your market value, essentially what the market has to care at macro, meaning like what is something that people are already paying for, already searching, already obsessing about, specifically in the topic that you want to talk about. And your most powerful content, your most powerful videos and offers, by the way, live in the intersection of all these three things. Your platypus, which is essentially authentically you, your expertise, and your market value, which is essentially the stuff that people are already searching for and obsessed about. So when your platypus and your expertise meets something that the market is already searching for, you become unstoppable. So make sure to find your dang platypus, your market value, and expertise in a multitude of ways, so that way you can actually start serving people today. Now the next thing, and the last step, is essentially the heart check. So what do you really want from the dream that you are trying to create with the content that you're making for yourself or for your business? You have to ask yourself the questions like, do I really want this dream? If so, am I willing to post consistently? Do I really want this dream? If so, I'm going to study my retention. Do I really want this dream? If so, I'm okay with being seen and judged. Do I really want this dream? If so, I want to serve people at scale. With content, especially within your business, or I guess the whole point behind a business overall, is that you want to necessarily live a life of service, so that way you can literally serve people at scale. Because once you live a life of service, you will never be broke. Because you're always going to be on the consistent thought process of not necessarily how I get famous, but essentially how can I serve a specific person so well, so flippin' well, that more people like them find me. Just think about that for a second. It's like, how can I serve one specific person so well with my content, with my message, with my videos, et cetera, so well that more people like them are willing to find me. And if you can do that, like I said before, you will never, ever, ever go broke, because your message will always spread. Your message will always act as your own sales rep 24/7, no matter what. And especially if it goes viral, or you have a consistent compounding effect where more people find it over time. So connecting it back to the funnel that we mentioned earlier before, your top of funnel essentially serves curiosity and entertainment, right? Especially relevancy to what's happening out in the world, and then you relate it back to your own topic, niche, and whatnot. The middle of the funnel is essentially to serve the people who already kind of like you or at least love you and say like, hey, I want to be more educated on the stuff that you're basically teaching. And the bottom funnel is essentially, who are we going to serve with a real solution? And that solution being our offer. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Anyway, here's a 90-day action plan that you can start today, or at least you could start into the first day of January, but ideally you want to start this as soon as possible after watching this, right? What I want you to do is the following steps. So the first one is essentially pick your overlap, in the sense like, where does your platypus expertise and your market value intersect, and how do you literally offer that to the world? Commit to 90 days being like, all right, I'm going to be posting every single day, 1 post a day, long form. Or I'm going to post 1 short form video every single day. Or I'm going to post 2 to 3 videos every single day, and then literally just go about that following the 50, 40, 10% framework that we provided in this video. Step 3 is that I want you to design each video in reverse with a strong ending, a strong hook, and essentially 2 to 3, or essentially if you're doing long form, 30 to a minute handshakes to each other. Step 4, I want you to review weekly within your analytics, depending on what platform it is, whether it be the retention graph or what topics and what hooks work more so than others. And last is I want you to stay in service, because every piece should help, not just flex, if that makes sense. Anyway, to close out this video, if you liked the video, I really appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I literally talk about content strategy, I literally talk about content planning, I talk about literally social media marketing and cinematography and filmography overall, so that way you can make money online. Not trying to sell anything, just trying to make you get better at making content. Now, if you're somebody that wants to do video for other people and make a 6-figure business from that overall, just click the first link in the description, have a coaching program and a community, and you check that out. Otherwise, somewhere here on the screen, it literally says the video that is recommended by YouTube that you should watch right now. Go watch that if you want to watch more videos regarding all the topics that I mentioned before. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Peace.